I'm presently heading the department at Yashoda Hospital. Well, this is not the usual crowd and not the usual presentation that I'm used to, but my army experience has taught me two skills to use while facing such situations. First is that you should commit to the task, and second, that one should prepare for it, train for it. And yes, one can train for anything in life, one just needs to take the next step. As I say so, I remember an annoyingly funny story about it. We were being deployed at Siachen base camp and learning to walk over an icy surface. Well, as we would slip and skid, my ustad would come running in and would say, "Saab, walk karna easy hai, bas पीछे वाला पैर आगे रखना है." Oh, definitely I would have told him that I can walk, but I was covered in 3 layers of special clothing, 2 layers of shoes, and if my ground could hold, I would have shown him. But little did I know that his simple and profound advice would come ringing in my ears as I would fumble with my steps in any future tasks. So now, since we have a committed audience in front of us, I don't need to ask the audience that who all deserve or who all want a happy life. Definitely all of us want a happy life. And everyone tries to avoid sadness in their life. Okay. So we should start by taking everything piecemeal. First with finding happiness. Since we know where to find happiness, let's see how it looks like on neuroimaging. I'll be quoting a study. So the PET scan and functional MRIs of the brain were conducted, and this was a meta-analysis which covered the different studies and found out what do we know or our present understanding about happiness. Now, PET scan is the area I specialize in or have been trained in, which involves use of radioactive tracers to understand different functions of our body. Predominantly, you will hear its use in cancer diagnosis and management. However, it's being used for understanding human emotions too. As you can see, the crosshair, these are the sections of our brain as seen from front, from sideways, and from top. And the crosshair points towards an area which has consistently been shown to correlate with the site where we perceive happiness or different human emotions. Now, as any other species, we are pleasure-seeking and pain-avoidant. So it is not anything different for us humans. And it was thought that these two areas would be definitely distinctly located in the brain. To the surprise, as we can see on the audience left side, is the areas which get excited when we feel happy, and the very same areas get excited when we feel sad. One of the conclusion derived was a lot depends on how we perceive an event. The same event can be happy for someone, or in a different situation would land up or feel sad about it. This is being used to help out people see the same event in a different light. Sometimes we need to see life through a different lens and find out. Obviously, there are distinct... Okay. So they do have certain distinct areas which are the effective. Obviously, sadness involves a bit of crying. So these are the actionable areas which are different. Now, these studies, they involve or judge only a part of the happiness that's derived through instant gratification and is in the world feeding us so to the point of exhaustion and sometimes to the point of addiction. Strangely, sometimes we need to feel sad, feel or go through phases of pain, failure, in order to perceive or derive pleasure through the other kind of happiness. Okay. Okay, so this was the finding. I'll come to the finding where they say that the areas where we perceive happiness and sadness are the same. Okay, so as I told, we need to go through pain, anger, frustration, sadness to derive pleasure of a different kind. We need there's a default wiring in our brain where we perceive happiness after going through these phases, overcoming these emotions, achieving victory over these emotions to when we achieve something meaningful in life. So thus there's a name to this happiness. Okay. Eudaimonic happiness that comes through when we achieve something meaningful in our life, and that brings in a sense of satisfaction. I'll give you a personal example. In 2005, I had cleared FMC along with some other exams, but I was not happy about it. My parents were definitely elated, beta doctor ban chuka hai. But I was not happy because I had not cleared all the exams that I had attempted in. And I was sulking. All those moments, 2 years of isolation, sleepless night, felt wasted. But now, as I look back at my past self, there's a satisfaction as I was never seeing it through the lens. I never saw, or it took me some time to acknowledge the fact that I was one among the handpicked 130 students who had appeared for the exam that year, an exam for which lakhs of people appear and become part of the legacy of AFMC. So that's me, fourth from the right. So sometimes we need to, in this present world where it is, we are getting used to this happiness that is gained through instant gratification, we should try to look at life and maybe get off this hedonic treadmill or the happiness we perceive from instant gratification and try to live with the pain, frustrations, anger, and achieve something meaningful in life. Now, since we know, that brings us to the second section. Since we know now the types of happiness, maybe we'll choose wisely. Now, choices, something which along with that brings a lot of anxiety because of the uncertainty that the future will have. Prospectively, if we are aware of the situation or the consequences of our action, we will definitely choose wisely. Most of you would be making your career choices now. Some would have made so, or some may be re-evaluating. Well, this is not the choices that I talk about. These are not the tougher ones. The tougher ones are one which are morally and ethically distorted. Choices which, as adults, we all know what's right and what's wrong. Choices which, if asked to write a theory paper on, we would fill pages. But when it comes to practicality, things can be a bit different. As I told you, we are pleasure-seeking By reflex, we are pleasure-seeking and pain-avoidant individuals as a species. We do get tempted with money, power, or maybe the fear of a job loss, a career promotion, which most of us will face in our life. Probably at those times, there won't be anyone to judge you. You will be the only one there at that point of time, deciding on what to sacrifice, how much to sacrifice, and for how long. Remember a thing, at that time one will have to choose that what do I definitely not want in my life. Because as long-term happiness comes through period of sadness, frustration and overcoming them, similarly, this sort of instant gratification of sacrificing or deviating your moral compass for pleasures of life might bring in a long-term guilt. See, anywhere you run away, we will always be with ourselves. We can't escape ourselves or the moral values which make us, and definitely will have to judge ourselves at some point of time. Now, since we know what happiness feels like, the two types, and the ways or choices that we can take to achieve them, let's decide on what it means to live fully. Well, live fully is what? To excel in all the spheres of life that you want to. Probably you want to achieve your career, maybe have a side career, or have a lot of friends. There are so many things that one desires and wants at the same time. This will require time and effort. Time, we all have just 24 hours in our life. And definitely, at some point of time, you will be sacrificing maybe your personal growth for your health, or maybe your health you will give your priority to let forego a career move, maybe your family. So, one will have to create a balance between all. And, okay. So, first and foremost, one will definitely require a healthy body and a healthy mind to enjoy both the short-term and the long-term happiness. Because even in strongest emotion and the smartest of us won't stand if we are unhealthy. We need to develop intelligence to take decisions in life, strategize, and maybe to understand each other on an emotional ground. We need to have a good emotional quotient to understand and be understood, a good social quotient because we need to share our joys and sorrows with each other. And second part is the effort. Well, I would advise that not to apply 100% of your effort in the task. 70% would be good enough. See, why I say so, this is not a short sprint where one has to give us 100%. It's a long-term game that we are playing of life. And this will involve a lot of burnout if we dedicate 100% of ourselves. The key idea is to be consistent with whatever one is doing. Also, whatever I said of living fully, it will never be a permanent state. It would always be, you will be achieving it and then it will appear far away, appearing like a mirage. So, the point I want to drive home is that if we can accept that it will never be a state of permanent happiness, it will never be a state of permanent calmness. If we can accept that there will be long phases of sadness, failure, boredom, and anger, frustration, and these are the very basic emotions or things which don't make our life happy but an interesting one. If we can acknowledge that we are the main character or the hero of our life, it's our story. This story will involve some sacrifices, some moments of sadness, and some moments of courage in times of despair. With this acknowledgement and self-acceptance, we will be less harsh on ourselves and will be meeting a more satisfied version of ourselves. Now, since we all are playing a game of life, I'll leave you all with this quote to ponder upon. Thank you for your patient hearing.